3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosario Torres Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anna Moriah Roque.
And I'm Molly Herford. Hello and welcome to Queen Stage. I'm Molly Herford and I'm joined today by Anna Moriah Roque and Betsy Welch. If you are clipped in on Zwift right now, stay with us. This one gets good.
Today we're heading into Unbound week, and our conversation isn't about the course or what tires to run. It's about the people who ride it, or who you ride it with, in front to, next of, or those that drop you on the final climb. The training partner who has been in your corner all season long and then slots into the feed zone like a pit crew chief. The competitor who is also the first person you call after a bad race. We have two guests today who know exactly what that looks like. Gravel racers Sarah Sturm and Maude Farrell, who are joining us in just a few minutes.
This episode is brought to you by Rapha and Zwift, who believe that your fiercest competitor and your closest friend can be the same person. It's a theme that runs through everything they're doing together, from the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift in August to the Rapha Women's 100 in September. And, as you're about to hear, it's a theme our guests are very familiar with. And subscribe, leave us a rating and review, and send questions to info@queenstage.cc or find us on Instagram @queenstage.cc. Now, let's get into it. Sarah Sturm is one of the most decorated and beloved names in American gravel racing, with podiums at Unbound, Leadville, Tracka, and the Lifetime Grand Prix. She is not racing Unbound this year because she is expecting a baby this summer. Congratulations. And has spent the offseason being exactly as active as she wants to be, reporting from the ground at Sea Otter and riding the Tracka 100 in Girona at 28 weeks pregnant. We're also joined by Maude Farrell, a program manager by day, an elite gravel racer by every other time. She's a Lifetime Grand Prix competitor and Rapha athlete who went full time as a pro for a year and decided work actually made her a better athlete and came back to do both. She's also won the Leadville 100 run bike double, which, holy crap.
Maude and Sarah have been friends long enough that at Unbound last year, Maude reorganized her entire race around Sarah's result, entirely her own call. Both are here this week ahead of a race that means something to both of them, even when you're not on the start list. Welcome, Sarah and Maude.
Wow.
Thanks. Well, we have to put a caveat that we thought we would, and then
I crashed out.
Things went south for the both of us. So I'm sorry,
then I bonked
Sarah,
my head.
I didn't.
But then you did a great result.
Concussed.
But our plan was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Discussed one day before.
Yep. Yeah. We like to discuss potential race plans in the race.
I honestly think that
you have 200 miles.
I mean, we have so long in these races, but I think that it's better because you can kind of like suss out how you're feeling and what's going on.
Wait. I mean, back up. What was the plan? Like, what are you guys even talking about?
Maude just was kindly like, I'll work for you. I think that we could do quite well. And Maude and I had been training together, and she was crushing me in my intervals leading up. Truly, I had to we did an interval set, and Maude was ahead of me, and I was like, is my heart rate monitor too tight? I had to strip off and then Maude offered to work with and for me, I guess, in whatever capacity.
Yeah, I was
that was.
if we find ourselves together, because there's so many unknowns in Unbound, especially at the start before things sort of settle into the rhythm of the day. And so,
mainly you get all the crashes out of the way, and then people find their
you get all the
groups
jitters.
after that.
Whoever's going to crash out crashes out, and then you come out of whatever is the selection section, and you're like, okay, this is sort of the way it's going to be. But I was like, if we end up together and it's leaning that way, then I want to really support you and help make it happen, because Sarah had done that with G a couple years ago and had missed the podium while being in the bunch sprint, that first year where we had a bunch sprint for women. And I just really wanted to help out. And then
it makes me emotional. And then I crashed. It didn't matter. But then Maude did really well.
Yeah. But there's time in the future should we choose to go that direction. And
Less this year.
I'll give you my wheel anytime.
Thanks, babe.
Okay, let's back up though. Before you guys decided to do things like this for each other, how did you meet? Where did you meet?
I feel like this is our love story.
Yeah, like where and when did you fall in love?
We met at that Rapha Prestige, right? Oh no, sorry, cyclocross.
No, Sarah. I'm going back to when you were famous and I'm still not famous, but when I was just like looked up to you. And I was the first time I ever saw Sarah Sturm in person, because obviously my little like group of cycling friends in San Francisco all were like big super fans of Sarah Sturm. And we went to we went to Cyclocross Nationals in November of 2019. And and we had not really done much riding in mud. And anyway, there's a long backstory to
in
that.
Tacoma, right?
What? In Tacoma.
Tacoma. The last fun nationals.
Tacoma, that's right. I love that course.
Oh, it's so sick.
And so I had never ridden in mud in my life. Like I started riding bikes that year, but like Alice, Moriah, and I were like, let's go to nationals. Like they'll let girls in. And so they did let us in. And I'm out pre-riding the course, and every time I pre-rode it, I cried at the end because I was like, what am I doing here? This is I'm so in over my head. And lo and behold, we read up and over the bridge and over the other side. And I crashed out immediately in front of you, Sarah. And I was so embarrassed. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah's behind me. Oh my God, Sarah Sturm's behind me. And then you were like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm totally fine. And then I immediately went back to the tent and I was like, Allison, no. Oh my God, Sarah asked if I was okay.
No. But then I famously crashed during the race in that race.
Yeah.
And USA Cycling used it as like their sign up for insurance photo montage.
Yeah, there were a lot of that like downhill, the muddy downhill. So anyway, that was the first time that I met Sarah and interacted with Sarah, but she didn't remember who I was. And then it was
the Prestige.
The Rapha Prestige in Aspen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we like talk.
And now we get to be teammates through, weird.
I was there. Nobody talked to me.
Yes, we did, Betsy.
When did we become friends?
I also met you there, Betsy.
We did?
That smoky year. Dang, your memory is a steel trap.
It is. I have a really good memory. I actually remember.
She's a savant.
I remember people's faces so well. Like I remember seeing a guy in Rule of 3 this weekend who was next to me, who was on my flight, and I just remembered his face.
Dang.
Yeah. Wow, I don't know.
I could use some of that. People are always like, hello. I'm like, hi. They're like, we met you. Of course we have, buddy.
That's so funny.
It's really strong. But it does deceive me sometimes. But we were all at the Prestige.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just fun. Like I was thinking back to all the different Unbounds and like how much like my career's changed and like my training and prep has changed and like how much we've collectively learned through the sport of gravel. So it's really fun. And like Unbound is a good marker. I mean, when I first started racing gravel, I was like really set on the like never racing Unbound, because like when I started racing gravel, I was like, there's like this really long race in Kansas, and I was like, it seems like all the cool kids are doing it, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Because I'm so
well, do you
cool.
remember, when you think back too, though, like that time of like 2019, 21, racing Unbound took you 13 to 14 hours for like a winning time.
Totally.
Right? That's 4 hours longer. That's
I know.
That
25% longer than it takes today.
And even Traca, like the first year I did, I mean, granted the course has changed quite a bit, but like, the first year I did Traca, I think it took me like 16 hours.
Yeah.
And now it's,
so the length
11.
of time it takes to like compete in these races has gone down. So it's weird because it's like, it seems more actually like doable nowadays. But back then it was kind of crazy to think about.
It was just like an adventure race. And now you can't even say like the 350 is just as intense, if not more.
I know.
Because there's like, not to go into the drama of Traca XL or whatever and Unbound XL, but there's like more rules, but fewer rules. But
yeah. It's crazy.
Anyway.
Did you bond during Unbound? I mean, when you have that much time with someone.
Did Maude and I?
No.
I mean,
No.
I feel like we already have bonded. We've
Yeah,
bonded.
we did.
Well,
So
Maude
the
moved
first
to
year that
Durango, and so
Right,
now
but
I feel like
just recently, I mean, or I get not recently, but you've been friends longer than that, right?
I think we
yeah,
became friends. I feel like we really became friends around the time that Mo
yeah,
passed, and we were talking a lot during
yeah.
that, and we both raced Unbound that year.
Mhm.
And we actually ended up together. Sarah, do you
Yeah.
remember?
Oh, yeah.
And you had been sick with COVID,
Mhm.
and I came up to you, and you were like knocking on death's door, it felt like, and
I know, I was
really
like, "I
having a
hate
hard
this."
time. Yeah. But I was really happy to like find you. And so we
Yeah,
rode together
yeah.
into the aid. And then, yeah,
You got yeah.
you guys were much better in the mud than I was. So you rode away from me in the end. But that was kind of like our first shared
I would
moment
say,
on
yeah, I
Bound. And
felt yeah, especially, like, leading up to that, just with the trauma of Mo's passing and that wh
mhm,
everything that went on with that. Maude and I talked on the phone quite a bit and
mhm,
got to know each other. I mean, it's yeah,
mhm,
that's a wild way to start a friendship for sure, but
mhm.
yeah, and then really sealed the deal with the 200-mile my first 200-mile gravel race after that. And then just over the years, I mean, you really become like, the cool thing about the women's off-road peloton and similar to mountain and road, I imagine, is that you're racing against all of these women, but you're really with them, and they're
Mhm,
the only people in the world that understand what you're going through when you're
mhm.
going through it. So it's like a really weird way to bond with people, but kind of an easy way too at the same time because you see people's best and worst sides all in, one event in a
Yeah.
very specific setting. And then you're
And
like,
you're
this is
also
so
like,
weird.
we go to these like strange towns in the middle of America
Yeah.
for a
Mm.
weekend, and you're kind of finish the race. And I think there are a lot of times too, Sarah, where like we would finish the race. I think about like Beaver, like going for Crusher,
Hmm.
and it's like, what are
Yeah.
we gonna do in Beaver? And it's like, well, let's just hang out with people and like go
Yeah,
to Dairy
totally.
Queen and go to the river, like hang out. And so I think, there's just these little moments that you kind of
It's all the like in
you get
between.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
really the like, I'll work for you, you work for me kind of like team house sort of bonding, but it's more like, oh, I know like how much Maude sweats and pees on her bike and like vice versa. And, especially when you train, if you have a good training partner, because like that's been fun I mean, I've lived in Durango for 18 years. And even though it's like a
Crazy.
hotbed of pro cyclists, like they're really, especially when I started racing gravel, it was like me and Payson and that was kind
Yeah.
of it. And now we have like this really awesome crew of women that we can train with. Like literally like Ellen and I will like wear our headphones or whatever music and do our totally different intervals, but just like kind of accountability buddy, like start at the same time. And Maude as well. Like, Maude and I actually have like done similar workouts together, which is so nice. And you just get to
Mhm.
really bond with someone and know them. And then
Yeah.
add in like stressful travel, stressful races. It's a unique bond.
Then
Yeah.
at the race, how do you make that flip if you have to
Mhm.
then compete against the friends
That's a good
that you train with
question.
all the time? You know each other so well, you know
Yeah.
how to beat them.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
You might know how, but whether you can or not is another
yeah,
question.
totally. I think the variables are on your side of the friendship in a way, like it's never, I mean, I'm not talking like a Demi Lottie kind of like combination coming into the like final sprint, whatever spring classic that was that is famous, but I don't
It's not
know. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, that very forgettable race. I don't know. I haven't really, I guess the closest I've come is like my friendship with G and like finishing Unbound together, but it's sort of like, I don't know. I don't think that really affects my friendship with people. Maybe
Yeah, I think
I also
it's
come from
almost like
soccer teams. Like, I think that's a really, I feel like I can tell women who have done other like true team sports. Like I'm not even talking like road racing, but like honestly
Mm.
like soccer or like track or stuff like that where it's like you have to function as a team or like maybe team time trial, but like it's like I don't know, I'm an extremely competitive person, but I learned from a really really young age through soccer like with my best friend who I was really competitive with, like, oh, you have to make the choice, like, sometimes to, like, put your friendship or your, like, your athleticism, and your competitiveness, like which one comes first. And like, I think learning that younger has helped within cycling, especially like bringing younger women up and into the sport who are faster than you when you're both kind of like trying to go for this very slim piece of the pie that is only, a bite-sized piece anyway. I think that all sort of like mixes together. Sorry, I went
Yeah.
5 different directions
No.
with that.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
good.
that. You also mentioned that in racing, you see the best and the worst of people. So I'm really curious about how you move on from the worst of people, because like we've all had, like, I think everyone
I've
on
been
this
yelled at a
call
lot.
has been that guy in the race who's done the worst thing ever, and we've had the worst thing ever
Yeah.
done to us. So
Yeah.
how do we move on and not,
I
stop on
think
the
the
side of the road?
repeat Yeah, totally. I mean, everyone is sort of, that everyone's under stress. So, like, there's yelling that happens. And then, worse than yelling and, like, the whatever, like the yapping, which men do too. It's not a women thing
They're
at all.
worse. They're
Yeah.
worse. Let's all just
They're
say
just,
that.
yeah, totally. It's just sport. And, like, a lot of the times it's like trying to keep everyone safe. And it's like, you know, snipping at that. Sometimes there's like some yapping about like tactics and that sort of thing. Like I've been in a group where like that same year with like Sophia and G and I were all working for like Sophia until she flatted out. But, Sophia was up in a group and I was in a chase group and it was with, my friend, close friend, Danny. And she was like, come on, pull through. And I was like, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And it was really frustrating for both of us, but we've, recovered and you just kind of like, I don't know. It's the repeat offenders, like the sketchy ones that like, or like the ones that like keep doing stuff that irks you that you sort of just like, I just don't put myself around them anymore. It's not like I don't know. You can deal with it in a professional way. And some don't in professional ways and that's their choice, but I just kind of tend to be a little bit more neutral in those settings. I don't know if Maude deals with it differently.
Well, actually, I wanted to say something about the earlier question, like how is it possible to like compete and against your friends? And I think like we actually I've been in races where things are really close, like either riding closely with Sarah or with Ellen or Michaela, and those are people we train with a lot, living in the same town. And, in all honesty, I am also very competitive. And at the
What?
same time, I know, shocker. But at the same time, if I'm in those groups, I don't think to myself like, oh, I need to beat this girl. I actually
Totally.
find it really inspiring that either I'm going to be able to help them achieve something or they're going to be so good that I have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And that's true of like the people I train with, but it's also true of a lot of the women that you end up racing with. Because like I think
Yeah.
Sarah mentioned this earlier, we spend so much time racing. You end up figuring out who's kind of in your general fitness level. And so you do end up with the same women. Like there's this one woman who lives abroad, who I've raced with 4 times. And every single race we finish within 2 minutes of each other because we are so similar in our fitness and we always end up together. And it's like,
That's
do
so
I want to
funny.
beat them? Do I want to like win? Of course, but also like in these races you need each other. You have to create a team in the situation and the context that arises within the race. And I think that's the cool thing about cycling
Yeah.
is you kind of form a team with the people around you. And I actually really love that about gravel. I think it's also shifting in a maybe
Yeah.
a more negative way where people aren't playing that as much.
I think it's
And
just
we can
different.
talk about that. Yeah, things are shifting, but what it feels like to compete with your friends to me doesn't feel like, oh, I'm here to like, chop her wheel or like cut her off or like I'm going to turn into this like really insanely competitive person. I actually feel like I take more mindset of like the feeling inside of me is like I want to help them. Like I'm going to give them a wheel a little bit and also like if they're strong, we're going to like trade wheels, right? And
There's
like we're going to
also
help each other.
Yeah, there's also like something, I mean, Rook, you brought it up. Like, like these races are so long. There's actually like very few and far between like opportunities to really be like neck and neck competitive with people. Like, there's the selection moments that are made. But once those happen, like, and it's not just like the people you're friends with, like what Maude was talking about, like, you end up just kind of like sifting into these groups, and then those people sort of become your teammates for, I mean, Unbound is coming up, so let's talk about Unbound, but like for hours and hours and hours. And usually what happens like after the initial selection is really stressful and like really dangerous, and friendships and alliances do sort of help, but honestly a lot of it is like, a lot of it is positioning, and then some of it is luck. But then once those little gruppettos are formed, those are your friends and teammates, and like, whether or not you're like best friends at the end of the day, like whatever, but like there's like another moment potentially 9 hours later in the day that you're then like competing against each other. But like for the most part, you're like, hey, everyone drink. Like, does everyone like, oh, I dropped my gel, and then another girl helps out because like, it's not like even like, oh, you're my new BFF. It's like, no, we're in this together. This is like, I'm taking care of you for you, but mostly for like the group. But for me, yeah, totally. But I kind of love that about sport. Like, it's really clear because like at the end of the day, there is a finish line, and like, and I know this of Maude, and Maude knows this of me. Like, I mean, it happened at Big Sugar this year. Like, we were both in that final group, and like the finish line is the finish line, and we're all sprinting for it. Like, I'm not working for like, unless there was truly like incentive and we had talked about it. Like, if Maude was like, this is the most important race to me and I need a lead out girl, and I'd be like, great, I'll do it. But like, that really wasn't a conversation. And so it's like, okay, you put your BFF badge away for a second and you sprint to the line, and then you resume afterwards.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's different, right? I mean, it isn't with road racing. With road racing, you have a whole team that can work for you. But sometimes it's the same thing, though. Like, you end up in the breakaway, and those 3-4 people, they're your best friends for the next whatever hour or two, or 100 miles in your case. And when I was road racing, that was my favorite part with my friends. I wanted my friends to be in the group, right? Because then I can ride with my friends for the next few hours.
Totally.
But then the moment the finish line was inside, I was like, see ya. Like, everyone's on their own, like, and then you hug afterwards, like, hey, you beat me this time. But I think like that's the beauty. I think also, but women in sports, they can have those separate lines a little bit easier than a lot of men that I know, where they're like, tensions run high, but you shake them off the moment you cross the finish line. Right? Like, that was racing, and then you move on. Yeah, some of your fiercest competitors are also your closest friends, which I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I think for some people, and I noticed this with soccer too, like, you do the like good game, like everyone has to shake each other's hands. And then like some women were like, bad game. Like, I am not friends with her. But then you quickly, like, I was sort of like that person when I was super young, because I was like, she pulled my ponytail. Like, I'm not going to be friends with her. But then you just kind of learn, like, because you get whittled down. It whittles down quickly, like, the number of people that you could, like, be cool with. So, like, you kind of have to, like, learn. You have to learn to be cool. And, like, you don't have to be, like, best friends with everybody. But I don't know. Like, look at Cam in the men's peloton. Like, he is sort of like that likable guy. And he has alliances with a lot of people. Like, he's technically like an individual racer, but I think there's a lot of, fellow dudes that want to help him out because he will do the same for them. Like, he was telling Maude and I, like, when we all had team camp, at Mid-South and all these races, like, people just kind of want to help him because they're, he's a nice dude, and he does the same.
So let's talk about teams. I want to hear about this team camp. This you're all wearing the same jersey.
I was just going to say one more thing, which is like, I think that there's also an important nuance that should be articulated especially in the women's peloton, that women don't owe niceness to anybody. They don't owe niceness to like anyone but themselves. I think women should have the full like permission to be competitive and fierce. I think that I've watched live streams of races that I'm not at, and there's comments about like, wow, she seems like such a bitch. Like, wow, this is like, she's not even like being this or that. And it's like, women don't owe you a smile. They don't owe you a niceness. They don't owe you a nicety. They don't owe you politeness, right? They owe you their best. And it's like the way that comes out for different women, I think, can vary. And the way that, like, personally, the way that my best comes out is when I can ride with someone else and they are going harder. I'm like, I have to stay with them. I want to stay with them. I'm going to go harder, right? But, we don't owe each other anything beyond what we're paid to do, and like what
You also don't have to be
we're there to be.
friends either.
And you don't have to be friends. And there are lots of women that I'm not friends with in Peloton, right? Like we are just drawn to people for whatever reason, and that should all be permitted. But I think I think Sarah and I are lucky. I think that we do perform our best in the context of friendship, in the context of supporting
that's a
one
good
another, in the
distinction.
context of like wanting to help each other, and also are still competitive. And also there are women who don't necessarily need that to perform their best. And I think like their wins are just as legitimate and their performances are just as inspirational. And like, you know, you just kind of figure that out and navigate it. And anyway, I think sports it's just interesting sometimes to see, you know, people talk about the way that women are and how they're supposed to be. And this is none of this is an endorsement or a hey, women have to be nice and like that's what you have to be. You have to be just like sweet and nice and cool. And it's like you you just need to be an athlete and you need to do your best. And
I've seen some salty, not like well, physically, yes, salty hugs at the end of races, and I'm like, yeah, like it sucks. Like I get it. Like it was interesting commentating for Traca this year, because that's like a race that I really have loved over the years and have been in the mix and like know what it feels like. Well, I don't know what it feels like yet to win it, but to get second and third, I do know. And there was some moments where I was like, ooh, can't wait to ask them after. But it's they're like these are professional women, like it's their job.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like you don't have to like walk away like hugs and kisses, you know, but they do show up to the next one and are professional and respect each other. And I think respect is important, but you don't have to be like smiles.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It
As
just
the
sounds
smiley
like,
person.
I mean, you guys are just talking about, to me, all I hear is like good sportsmanship. And
Yeah, respect.
that doesn't,
Totally.
that doesn't mean besties. And I think so much of that like is noise.
Well, with women, it's
internet noise that like there is more to it than just like doing your job well and being a good sport.
Yeah.
It's just the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, these moments get distilled down to like a meme on the internet. Which is sometimes funny, but like sometimes it's like, oh my God, there's so much more.
So like last year, you guys were all wearing Rapha, slightly, you know, like similar colors, different logos. This year, that's been more formalized. Can you talk a little bit about like just your team, but also how gravel is becoming more of a team sport?
Yeah. I think, well, I feel like I should first address the fact that like I moved to Durango for the girls. Like it was sort of 50-50. My husband wanted to move back to Colorado and I said, we can move to Colorado, but I have to move someplace that I know people, because to me, it's very important to have a place to train. Like I need to have people to go train with, and I need to have community that I can rely on. And so we came for Sarah's wedding and we were like, this is a great place. We should give it a shot. And we came, and it's become, you know, that sort of place. And at the same time, I also signed with Rapha and coincidentally ended up living in Durango with 3 other girls who had signed with Rapha. So none of this was like really actually planned. It sort of like happened. And a lot of, you know, the foundations of our friendship is a big part of why these like coincidences have happened. So are they really coincidence? Who knows? But that's all to say that it's been a really funny, I feel like from the outside, it's funny to be like, why did all this happen at the same time? And timing wise, I think it was great. But yes, we've been on Rapha. Sarah's obviously been with Rapha for how long, Sarah? Like 5 years, 6 years? A long time.
Yeah, 6 years. I signed
6 years
in the middle of Colorado Trail in 2020. Like literally had to like pull off of the CT somewhere. I can't anyway to sign my contract. But it's been, I guess it's really cool to watch like Rapha adapt to gravel just over the years. Like when I signed with them in 2020, there wasn't, I mean, we were all trying to figure out the gravel thing. And then, you know, a few years later, I like brought Ellen on to my team, or I call it a team, but it was just like, I pretty much just wanted someone to hang out because I was like going to all these races and I was
kind
like,
of like an early version of a development program.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like
And
you
then,
had a lot
like-
of support, you had a lot of connections and brands, and like how can you like help other women get kind of a leg up or like a step up. Yeah,
totally. And like part of my program, if you will, I don't even want to, it was not a program. Like Ellen just like got to race in the same kit as me and I introduced her to all of them. It was really just like a networking thing. And I was like, this is how you like manage these relationships as a privateer. It was like privateer light. And the goal was just to like have Ellen like race like with me, like, but do her own thing. And then eventually like she has all these connections and she can leverage and learn how to manage her own program, which she has done. And then Michaela was sort of the next little nugget under that. And it's just been really fun. I mean, I remember Maude had decided to move to Durango, and I remember exactly in Sailing Hawks on this trail where I was when I was like talking to you about like, I was talking to Rapha about signing you, and I was like, you really might want to think about the Rapha thing. Like, I think they're doing a really cool thing, like putting more and more emphasis into this like team, especially like the women's side, especially with like Ellen being on it and me. Like there was all these people and Anna at the time, like there was just all these like younger women and all of us kind of coming together and under the
Yeah,
Rapha
and to
umbrella.
credit Rapha, we spoke to them pretty early in the season, and like the answer was like, "Oh, I don't think we can make your ask work. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. We can give you this, but we can't give you what you want." And so I was continuing to talk to other sponsors, and then I think a week later, yeah, maybe Sarah, this is the conversation you're referencing. It like came out. They actually were like, "Hold up, we can do this." And from their angle, I think what they ended up seeing was they had new leadership come in and they were like, hold on, we have this like collection of really talented, awesome women who are already friends, who already have really strong relationships with one another, who, you know, are really motivated and are very different personalities. Like, this is a really wonderful opportunity to bring all of these people onto the brand. And I think, you know, to their credit, they saw that and they were like, this is actually a great idea. So, you know, assigned us who were all, again, like we were, you know, friends and developing friendships with one another already. And yeah, lo and behold, we were kind of all together.
I think people really want to put like, especially with this whole conversation, like subsurface, well, not even subsurface in gravel about like teams and teams and teams. And there's all these like teams forming in different ways. And like Rapha is like a privateer collection is kind of what I see it as. Like they've provided a lot of support, actually, especially in the feed zones, which is kind of like the most like critical and stressful part for especially some privateer athletes that like, I mean, Maude, you have a full-time job, like you are making some money from the sport, but a lot of that goes back into the sport, and the sport has become really, really expensive to be able to be competitive, similar to cyclocross, you know, like where cyclocross was with like having 2 bikes and 10 wheel sets and a mechanic, multiple mechanics. But now the issue is like getting support for, I mean, Unbound just released the course. There's 3 aid stations, which means to be in those top groups, if to make those selections, you really have to have dialed in support systems at those spots. And what Rapha has done, and I think other teams are sort of figuring this piece out, but not as much as you would think. Like the outside perspective, you think everyone
slower than you would think
the outside, like watching this stuff, you're like, I mean, holy cow, Cam, the guy who won last year, he had his parents in the feed zone and won Unbound, which is so wholesome and adorable. And I love that. And Braden had his parents not helping him with the feeds at Sea Otter, but like that just goes to show you that like, you know, I think there's a couple of teams that have it like, especially factory teams have it like really dialed in, but Rapha has sort of become like the sponsor for a lot of these privateer athletes that shows up in like an organized way with enough staff to like really help riders like Maude and Ellen and Michaela, who, you know, like you have some support from other sponsors, but like that's a huge benefit. And it's been
you can't succeed in these races anymore with carrying all your water that you need.
It's
you
not
know,
always
at
money.
this point. Yeah, I mean, it's the, you know, it's kind of the world tour problem that you see in the men's. It's like if you just have more money to do more things, like everyone else kind of has to rise to that occasion. And with factory teams, they have staff, they have people. Those are people committed entirely to the athletes. And so if factory riders can get bottle hand ups at every one of the 8 aids or 6 aids that are at Sea Otter, or 9 aids that are at Sea Otter, then everyone else is at a disadvantage if you can't do that and you need it. And so, you know, just to be part of a team, I think maybe looks different in gravel where like Yeah, there's the idea of like individual people wearing the same kit, wearing the same bikes on their factory teams, doing work for one another and playing the dynamic game, which we should talk about. There's also a huge part of that team that's about just like how do you make sure that the athletes who are racing are supported and have the resources they need
Can
to
even
like
make it to the finish line.
can get to the finish line,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, to Sarah's point, like that that is such a huge asset and such a huge part of just like getting through the race, being able to be like, okay, someone's going to come by my house on Wednesday night before the Thursday morning race to pick up my bottles. And I know they
Yeah.
will be there and be
It's
available. And like getting that, even that little detail nowadays can be so difficult. And so knowing and having someone reliable means
Well, you're
so
just up
much.
against people that like have like the established teams. I mean, there's like a handful of them, but they have like Swannies and like dedicated staff. Like it really functions more like a combination of like a road team, like a road team light and
Mhm.
like a Pro Axio like World Cup mountain bike team where like
Yeah.
riders are doing their individual races, but you have a lot of like those little tiny stressors that are taken care of by like a main sponsor. And the way that these sponsor like running a team is really expensive. The other side of like, for example, factory off-road racing with Specialized, it's an expensive program. I mean, they have full staff on
Yeah.
available, but there's also like a high expectation of their racers, but it takes a lot of money and a lot of resources to do that. And so you see brands like Rapha or bike brands like kind of forming these collectives where like they're like, okay, in order to like provide this support, it does make sense to like do that across, a wider variety of athletes. And then there's the other side of Rapha, which I've always really appreciated about the brand because it's something that I care a lot about, which is the storytelling and the other side of the sport. It's not always like who wins the race. Like I was just talking to Jimmy, our Rapha athlete manager, about rule of three. I literally didn't know who won the women's race. Like I couldn't find it through, and I didn't try that hard, but like but he was like, oh, cool. Then it wasn't like, that's great. I love that it wasn't even about like who won the race. And like
Mhm.
a lot of the times, especially with gravel, like I will fight this till my last dying breath. Like it is equal parts like the professionalism and like, or the professionalization of the sport. Like, yeah, of course we care how the winner of Unbound, the world's largest gravel race, is won, like, and what products they're on and how they do it. But at the same time, there's a lot of really cool stories that can be told. And I think Rapha has always been really good at telling those stories and building a community. And I think that that's personally what I see happening
Mhm.
within this like collection of riders. Like, at team camp, we had a Rapha team camp before track in Girona that just kind of was like a perfect melding of a lot of the American athletes and European athletes were going to this race. And so Rafa provided this like weekend of like some training rides and like a really cool spot that we could all stay. And like, I was like hanging out with like the dude who's won a tour stage and like actually I think he was in the yellow. I just called him the Tour de France guy. But like, there was like it's just like a funny thing because I'm like, God, when else in my life or this guy's life, like he's come from like world tour and then he's in the pool with like a pregnant chick at like a Rapha gravel team camp. Like it's just like I appreciate like the melding of all the personalities that gravel can bring, and brands
Mhm.
like Rapha supports that. Not to like make
Yeah.
this about Rapha, but it's just like an interesting like sampling of like what is evolving in the sport of gravel. It's like not just Rapha that's doing this, other companies have figured out their version of it as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. That is something I really appreciate about gravel, like sponsors that are like, okay, we're going to give our athletes sort of like the basic needs. We're going to feed them well. We're going to dress them and we're going to like help them at races. And sort of aside from that, we're not really going to tell them what to do. We're going to let them shine like as
Mhm.
they are as athletes, like whatever direction they want to go. Whereas with factory teams, it does feel a little more serious and clinical. Also
There's
amazing. Like,
expectation.
yeah, but it's not as much about like, you know, um you guys sort of get to like build your own story, but from a really well supported place. And I think that creates like really healthy like hungry, strong athletes too. It's not like you guys are just like hanging out all the time. Like you guys want to do well for your sponsors.
Yeah, I think just providing like an arena to like make those connections and learn from each other. Like that's what I was missing in the early days of privateering, if you will, was like I missed being on a bike team or I came from collegiate cycling, and that like that's what I always loved about racing was like the team aspect. And like gravel still, I really believe, even with these teams coming in with like riders who are signed to teams to be support riders for other riders, like I still think it's a very much an individual sport just because of the nature of gravel racing, specifically Unbound. But I think at the
I mean,
same time,
there's a side to it too that gravel is very much a social media sport, right? Like a lot of the careers that exist, Sarah, to your point, is like it's really about storytelling, and the primary platform for storytelling these days is social media, and that is an individual pursuit. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I think there's a lot of things to talk about with regards to that, but you know, even if you are an independent individual rider who's been signed onto a team to support and ride for someone else, you still have to make a career for yourself as a presence or a personality or what have you. And so you're always sort of pursuing this individual side to it.
I think it's less social media, but more like just media in general and connection and like business.
And I think that's like, that to me is what really differentiates gravel from like road riding. Obviously there's 1,000 things that differentiate it, but I think that's one really big piece just in terms of like the athletes themselves is, you know, on the team. I think you are very much a part of the team. It is not about your name. It is about the collective team that you're riding for. And in gravel, it just feels like there's always a thread of like, I am still an individual within this sport. And like, what is my place in this sport? What is my personality in this sport? Like, how do I fit into this story and so forth? And I think that's like an interesting side to gravel that exists.
It also created so much opportunity, like having these media athletes. Like Betsy and I got to be privy to join your camp last year.
Yeah, that was
the
so fun.
Camp, which was super cool. And I was amazed by what this privateering route has, like the kind of doors it has opened for athletes, like these media athletes, if you will, like how you can have a career that is completely unique, that's not necessarily results driven.
Yeah.
And it's all about the journey and the experience of the sport that you're doing. Because, you know, there were mountain bikers there were gravel cyclists there were cyclists of all kinds there. Like Lil was there, who's a unique category of her own. And I love that today's media allows you to have a unique career and to be a privateer in every which way, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, it is cool. I was laughing at, I know Betsy will get a kick out of this, but the woman who runs Holy Spirit Gravel, the meme account, she got to go to the Traca this year, which was her first Traca experience. And her whole thing is like the gravel dads. Like she kind of like makes fun of like the category of like, you know, middle-aged guys in gravel. And she was like, Traca doesn't have any gravel dads. She's like, it's just full of like fake privateers. She's like, I've never seen as many bike check videos going on as I've seen at Traca. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. That's so funny. I like, it couldn't be more accurate. And spot on. Like she was like, who's looking at all of this stuff? And I was like,
Europe just doesn't have gravel dads. Period.
They don't have, no, but the gravel dad equivalent is like the 20 to 30-year-old dude who's doing like
trying to be a privateer.
Yeah, I love it.
He's like pursuing a privateer career.
So I'm like, oh, okay, bike checks are dead now, so I have to figure out what is the next frontier. But I do like, so funny. To Rook's point, like I do. There's like a double-edged sword with that, like, you know, the internet component and like the influencer, the bike racer, and like honestly, to be successful in either, you sort of have to be good at both, and you just have to like be good at working with people. And I think some athletes can figure that out, and others like really, really cannot figure that piece out. And I see that a lot within gravel because it's sort of seen as this like open frontier of like, you can win one of these races or you can be like really good at Instagram. And I'm like, well, you don't have to do either of those things, but you kind of have to know how to be okay at both things. And not just Instagram, like just managing relationships, and whether that is your relationship with media or like, you know, a potential sponsor, or more importantly, if any young people are listening to this, not just the sponsors that currently sponsor you, the ones that like you walk away from or who walk away from you, like knowing how to like professionally manage that interaction is like a big deal and can be a game changer, because your career could be long and it could also be very, very short. It has nothing to do with the podium.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Well, I mean, we're talking about friendship, and to that point, it's not like someone from SRAM can't be friends with someone from Shimano, say,
Totally.
or Canada with, friends with someone that's Specialized. So everyone talks.
For sure. I mean, Dylan, my husband, works for Shimano, and he also is my support system and is oftentimes in the feed zone with SRAM. And he was, he has to keep his like blue hat, red hat Crips and Bloods, as my sister would say. He has to keep them sorted. But yeah, I think it's kind of a boring part of the sport for a lot of younger people, but I find it really interesting because it's the ecosystem in which we all can, survive or not survive.
It's also still so small.
It's so
like
little.
Way too small to burn any bridges.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But
yeah,
there's a lot. I mean, will we all be at Unbound? Speaking of small.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, 2 no's.
I was gonna say 2 no's and three yeses. There we go. That was our closest to
you guys
two
are
truths and a lie.
And I'm looking forward to it for all the wrong reasons.
What are the wrong reasons?
Sleep.
A bed and 6 hours of uninterrupted.
No, my future.
Now you're one of those people that just like wants to go to the store alone.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Sarah, this is your future.
I know. I feel like I'm staring at it right now. I flew over to Europe next to a couple with their 1.5-year-old, and I was just like fixated. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm going to have to do. I mean, they were really impressive, but yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to get to do that. And you guys are doing like a live stream as well.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I'm going to have like one ear plugged in to you and no.
Okay, before we let you go, I actually have one more question I've been thinking about this whole time. We're talking about friendships on the bike. I'm so curious. What do you guys do together off the bike? Like, what do the hangouts look like when you're not doing intervals or in a race?
We haven't really hung out much off the bike recently.
I was like, I hung out with your husband and your puppy at the beach.
Yeah.
This weekend when you were racing. I mean, this year it's kind of, well, Maude missed our like group. We had like a little dinner a couple of days ago. I would say like, well, Maude has a job. So
you guys already had it?
Well, no, it was that first one you missed. Like this winter.
That was months ago.
Yeah. It was like before I even told people I was pregnant. No, we should have another one. Well, we're going to have a baby shower. So that'll count.
We're going to barbecue Sarah's baby. That's how we hang out.
I know my invites were baby Q, and I was like, I should specify that we're not like barbecuing babies at this.
To be clear.
But no, I mean, well, Maude has a job, so like that really cuts into the hangout time. But Ellen and I see each other quite a bit. Like we'll go on dog walks a bunch. Like we're pretty much we're all pretty much neighbors, and Ellen and I go to the gym together, and I don't know, just kind of, it's a boring life, really. Maude has a much more go because you have to work.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, like we've played card games with the girls, and
it's not a fascinating part of the podcast.
Dinner. I think. I mean,
sit next to each other on the plane.
We sit next to each other on the plane.
Maude like picks up nutrition stuff, and we share clothes and hairdressers and
a lot that we like. We still have a lot of things that are just like day-to-day lives, and like a lot of our life is centered around bikes and like spending time together on bikes. And interestingly, it's like, I think what's maybe interesting about your question is that I think it's more inverted. Like, I think we actually spend time on the bike because it's the way that we spend time together.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves, it's not like we go out on the bike, like we do workouts together, but it's also like, I think we find time to go ride together so that we can be with one another and catch up with one another and socialize. And we really use bikes as a way of connecting to each other.
Yeah.
It's not just that like, you know, we're connecting off the bike and then the bike just like is this kind of isolated thing that we do to train and we're just training. It's like, I like the times that I go and spend with Sarah and Ellen and Michaela when we go out for a group ride is like me being like, hey, I haven't seen you in a bit. Let's go for a ride, even if it's 20 minutes of your warm up, or, you know, if we're just going to go meander around for a few hours. And so it's kind of like our experience of one another's lives is through the bike or on the bike.
I mean, I've really experienced that because I have not done, I mean, other than the one day that I like held on to your intervals earlier in the pregnancy, but like all my rides with the girls have pretty much been like, hey, if you go out for an easy ride, like I just need to like have like a tiny bit of motivation, but I'm moving so slowly that like it really is like their like chillest ride. And I just want to hear about like what's going on in their lives. And
it was
like,
actually, it's really funny. The first ride where when Sarah told me she was pregnant, I texted everyone and I was like, hey, does anybody want to ride? Like I have a window of time. Let's go out. And Sarah was the only one. And she was like, yeah, I want to come ride with you. And so we met up at 81301, this local coffee shop. And she wrote up to me and I was like, early recording. I was like, I have intervals. I've got like 2.5 or 3 hours of intervals. And she's like, okay, no worries. I'll come with you. And she wrote up and she's like, Maude, I have something to tell you. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. I like lost my mind and like my tears welled up. And at the same time, we have to go. I got to go get my intervals in. Like, I got to get back to work. And so we're like going out, and it's so funny because Sarah and I are like riding side by side. I have so many questions to ask her and talk to her. And then I'd be like, hold that thought. I got to do an interval. And then I'd like, beep. I'd be like, I'll be back in a second. And like, I'd ride away for like 10 minutes, do some intervals, and then like circle back. And then Sarah was like, I've got intervals. And then she would be riding her interval. And so we like, you know, it's like, yeah, we're just, I don't know. It's something about like, I think we know how to manage ourselves. And like, we're both so respectful of Sarah being like, yeah, let me tell you about like how crazy it was that I found out I was pregnant. I'd be like, yeah, hold that thought. I'll be right back. And it's like, I think,
yeah,
you know, you said this
and
earlier,
you understand
Sarah,
it.
Like, there's like there are not many people in the world that you could really just have that unspoken understanding between yourselves and, you know, sharing this sport and sharing our careers and all of that. I think it just makes it so much easier. And so, yeah, we don't necessarily like hang out every night off the bike, but we spend so much of our time sharing our lives on the bike that the bike kind of is the place that we spend our time together. And like,
actually,
yeah.
Yeah, Maude, that's such a good way to put that. And there was a moment that, like, I don't even know if you would recall. Well, you probably remember this, but there's a moment from team camp in Girona. Like, it was sort of like this realization, like, what was happening in my own personal sphere was pretty, like, shielded from the rest of the group. But it was really nice, like, for me to know that, like, Maude and Ellen and Michaela were there. And there was this moment, basically what was happening for me internally, like I knew that like obviously like my body is changing and my capabilities are really different from like being a professional athlete at that level, especially like the weekend before Traca, everyone's like a race. So I like knew that I wasn't going to be able to keep up with people. Like that was clearly in my mind. But then like the actual like practice of that happening was really actually kind of hard. And I just didn't want to be like the liability in the group because I never am like the last one. And like truly like the last one and like kind of a risk factor is like the pregnant lady in the middle of Spain alone. And I was like, Maude was riding with me and I was like, dude, you really like just, you can go. Like, I really am fine. And she's like, no, I'm telling you, like, this is the speed. She was recovering from an illness. And she's like, this is truly the speed that I want.
Sarah kept being like, you don't have to ride slowly. I was like, no, this is literally fast.
I also was like, it felt like I was racing Leadville at that moment, like for that whole time. But it was like, it was really nice because it kind of was making me a little bit like weirdly like homesick because I was like in this different place, like with new people and like, but then like having Maude, like having you ride with me and like actually knowing me, like truly actually knowing me as a friend and a person and not just like through the bike racer lens. Like it was just really nice to just like actually like get to exhale and like be slow and pregnant and feel okay about it. Like
You weren't that slow either. You're just pregnant.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like like compromise.
It's like, exactly. It's like Sarah knew I wasn't taking pity on her, being like, I'm just gonna make sure she's okay.
It was just like a nice moment because
and
you
I knew
kind
if
of like
I rode away from you, that would be okay too. And like, I think that's just something that's really beautiful. It's just, it goes back to like we just really respect each other, and I think we really respect ourselves and know that, and we spent so much time together that like we wouldn't want either of us to like compromise or trade, but we also know that we can be really honest with each other of like where we're at and how we're feeling. And like, I rode with Ellen the other day, like right before, and I was sick, and she was like, dude, you're going so slow. Are you okay? And I was like, I'm really not okay. She's like, maybe you should take a break. And I was like, okay. But like, how can you be so honest to have someone tell you like, hey, you're not going that fast. I need to go faster. Are you okay? And I was like, I'm not. I'm going to go home. And it was like, we have these abilities to check each other with so much love. And like, I think that's really special. And yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's a unique, I mean, I haven't found friendships like that within the space of competitive sport until now, like in my professional career. Cause like, especially like when I was like going out for like trying to make it on the road, I was like, God, this is really scary and hostile. And I feel like you can't actually like let down your guard when you're trying to make it in like the road peloton. At least this was truly a long time ago. But I was like, this is really scary. And like, you can't have a moment of weakness or like have those friendships because there's only so many spots that were available for like making it, that you had to be like women were cutthroat because of the nature of the sport, not because of like how they wanted to be. And like, it just feels, I mean, looking back on those moments like of growth for me as like a younger athlete, like, it's just really a special thing. And I really feel strongly about providing that for like newer women that are coming up through, the ranks too. Cause it's like they're, I feel like with gravel, hopefully the bike industry holds on for a little bit longer. Let's hope.
It will.
It'll be there. People like bikes. But I hope that others can find that same like support system, like true actual support, like off the bike, outside of competition, but within competition. Cause it's, I really strongly believe that like in 50, 60, 70 years from now, it's like, whatever, the thing that you remember more than like how many podiums and how heavy your medal around your neck is.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Perfect. Let's wrap it there. Maude, Sarah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was such a wonderful celebration of friendship.
Can we count this as what we've done off the bike?
Yeah, we do podcasts. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We appear on podcasts. There you go.
What Sarah and Maude just described is exactly what this campaign is built around. Rapha and Zwift's theme this year is Best Rivals and Fierce Friends. The idea that friendly competition is what pulls everyone forward at every level. Not just the women at the front of Unbound this weekend, but your friend in the Zwift ride and every competitor who has ever made you dig a little bit deeper.
Queen Stage is part of this series, and you can tune in to be the first to listen on the last Wednesday of every month. 2 episodes remain, June 24th and July 29th, building toward the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, August 1st through 9th, and the Rapha Women's 100 on September 5th and 6th.
That is it for today at Queen Stage. Thanks to Sarah Sturm and Maude Farrell for joining us ahead of Unbound. Big thanks to Rapha and Zwift for supporting this episode. If anything today made you want to find your own wheel to chase, the next Zwift community ride is Wednesday, June 24th, and we will see you there. In the meantime, send your questions to info@queenstage.cc or find us on Instagram @queenstage.cc. Thanks for listening, and we will be back soon with more race analysis and stories from the women's peloton.